Okay, so um, welcome to the second day of class. Um, Again, we're starting late, apologies, but it will get better eventually. Thank you all for coming, and we look forward to having a great session today, just like yesterday. Uh, Yesterday, we did a couple of things, including how the importance of Linux, the importance of mobile, why we are interested in Linux on mobile. We talked about the importance of Africa having a really great number of mobile users, and then the opportunity that creates for us. So while everybody else in the world is concentrating on how to use PCs, we have mobile phones, and we can use the mobile phones to our advantage. Learn skills that scale across several devices if you are going through Linux instead of waiting to get a PC for you to go through Windows. So all of what we'll be doing eventually in all the subsequent classes we'll be having will be how to enable you with the right set of skills such that when you have any device in front of you, it's called being device agnostic. So any device that you have that has a Linux terminal, you're able to work, whether it's a mobile device or a desktop device, or whether you're connected to a server. As far as you see the black screen of Windows of Linux terminal, you're completely at home with that environment, irrespective of where you see that black screen. So again, as discussed from yesterday, the operating system Android is built on top of a Linux kernel. So as I hinted yesterday, the Linux kernel is free of charge. It's completely free of charge. Linus Torvald built it and open sourced it such that anybody can take it and adapt it for their individual use. So different companies have adapted that kernel, made it better, and adapted it to their individual use. Android has done the same thing too. And so we have Android sitting on this Linux background, on this Linux base, and they're building all their infrastructure on top of this Linux base. But underneath it is still the Linux, even though they've built a lot of things on top of it. So what that helps us do is that it helps us realize that it's basically the same box that you're working with, whether you're on a PC or you're on an Android phone. It's a bit harder from iOS. There is no way to emulate the terminal from iOS. There's no easy way to emulate the terminal from iOS, but Android devices, thanks to a software called Temox, shout out to the guys that built it. It's an amazing software that they're able to use to just open up the Android base such that you could emulate Android on a mobile phone, without needing to wait to get to a PC. So the first thing we want to do is to get that Temox. Temox is spelled Termox. So you go to Play Store. From your Play Store, you search for Temox. So when you search for Temox, it will give you the download and install options for Temox. So you would download and install Temox. There are other code editors that are available on the cloud on the Play Store. But what we are looking for is Temox, and you can see the icon for Temox. See the icon for Temox. You can't mistake it. So if that is not the icon that you are seeing it when you go to Play Store, check again. You are most likely downloading the wrong software. The right software, the icon is a black and a what's it called? The greater than sign. a greater than sign and underscore sign. All right. So if you found the right software, you download and install it, and then it will take a while to install and set up for the set up for the first time. So we wait for it to do that installation. Now that you've finished installation, it shows you a completely black screen. It gives you some messages in the beginning of that screen that tells you welcome and gives you some links to different properties online that you can find useful. Temox community, the wiki in case you want to find out information about different things on Temox, file location, commands for installations of different software, and all of that. When you go to the wiki.temox.com, you can find a huge array of applications or commands that you can use on Temox. The community is also great, such that you can ask questions and get answers from people who are also using Temox and who might be more enlightened than you, who can contribute to your knowledge and your journey. And then working with packages, search packages. So on a Debian-based system, for example, and Ubuntu, when you want to install an application, use a command called apt or apt-get. Apt-get is kind of older than apt. Apt is more succinct. It's more powerful than apt-get. On your Temox, you are using a command called pkg. So you have the pkg search a query. The query is, what is it you want to search? What software do you want to install to find out if Temox supports it before doing the installation? To install a software, you do pkg install the name of the software. If it's available, Temox starts installing it. If it's not available, the operating system warns you that this package is not available and might suggest what it thinks you want to install. Then, upgrade packages. Now, many times when you want to install software on Linux, there are a few things you do before installing the software. One is to update your system, and the other one is to maybe upgrade your system. Now, the update on the system, for example, allows you to make sure that it's the most recent versions or code bases that you are using for your installation, so that you don't go and install an older code base than is supported on your OS. So the first thing you do before you do for example, apt install on an Ubuntu would be to do an apt update, which will update your code base before you would do an apt install to install a new software. So the PKG version of that is a PKG upgrade. Now, the cool thing about PKG is that when you do a PKG install, for example, the PKG install doesn't only do the installation for you, it does a PKG update in the background for you before it does the installation. So you don't need to explicitly do an apt install, because PKG install the software would automatically do a PKG update for you. So you skip one step by using PKG on Temox, for example. But when you want to upgrade a software, when you want to get the latest versions of all the software you have on your system or the software you have on your Linux, you do a PKG upgrade or an apt upgrade, and it checks all of the different software you have installed and finds out if there are newer versions and downloads the newer versions for you. It would ask for a confirmation, of course. So you either put a Y for yes or an N for a no to continue or to cancel that process. Okay, so subscribing to additional repositories if you want to get additional repositories. So the first thing I want to do is to look at a use case for PKG. So the use case we want to look at first is the PKG update that we talked about. So we want to find out all of the software available on this new installation. Find out if there are newer software in the repo I want to download. So here it's asking for confirmation. We confirmed it a Y, and it tells us that it's downloading all of those things that we have confirmed we want to update. And so it updates all that software for us. So the first thing you do when you do your installation will be to update the software that your system is on. To update the software that your system is on. So we wait for it to get to 100%. And now, one thing you'll notice about this environment is it's completely dark. It looks uninteresting. It looks uninteresting. So let me go back to it. It's completely dark and looks uninteresting. And it's kind of basic. So on a Linux installation, the first terminal is this black screen where you get to type your command. It's either called a CLI, a command line interface, or it's called a terminal. So wherever you see CLI, command line interface, terminal, they are all talking about the same exact thing. That's a black screen where the computer is expecting you to type a command. That's why it's called a command line interface or a terminal. So the idea is type the exact commands the way the system expects it exactly, and the system would obey you. If you make a mistake in any of the commands, it would give you an error. So you have to be careful when you type in commands. So this black screen is called bash. The black screen that comes automatically with Termux is called bash. With most Linux operating system, it's called bash. However, bash is kind of boring. So the first thing I will usually do in a Linux installation, wherever it is to install a better shell than bash. And so I like ZSH. ZSH is my preferred shell. Now there is an easy way of doing a ZSH installation, and that is the next thing we want to look at. Just to change our shell, where we type these commands, we want it to be more functional, we want it to look better. So the next step in the video will show us how we move from installation or updating of this software to going to look for the ZSH version of Intemox. So to do the installation for ZSH, there's a repo that you would need to get. That repo would help you to get ZSH on Termux. It's called Oh My Termux. So you can search for it on Google, and then you would go to it on Google. So we can see the first option here on Google is the option and Ubuntu. We need to be a bit more creative. So would search for a ZSH on Ubuntu. The installation process is a bit different from the installation process for Termux, for example. So this installation is just for Termux. And so when you proceed in the video, would go into the link and then download the required content or the required commands that we'll use to build this. So this is what this repo does. This repo is doing three things. It's doing it's installing a theme on ZSH. It's installing ZSH. It's installing a theme on ZSH called Solarize Stack. Is doing an Ubuntu Mono with Powerline patch, so it gives us icons that are not available by default, and it's also installing an update on the theme called Oh My ZSH. So to do that, we just copy this pkg install core. In most installations, core would come pre-installed on the application, but we need to check to make sure that it's actually part of the application. In this download of Termux, call has come in pre-installed on this system, which is most likely what's going to happen for you too, because call will come in pre-installed for you. The next thing we want to look at would be to do the actual commands that will do the installation. It's a bit long, so be careful and copy the exact commands until the last quote. From the beginning to the last quote, copy it and then paste here. This is the next command that is going to do the actual installation for you. And so wait for it to go to 100% to indicate that it has finished installing. So by the time we get to Git and how to work with repositories, you will begin to really love ZSH as compared to what the bash would do for you. Now, there's something that just passed now that I would like to point to. When you finish installation, it asks for a permission. This permission allow Thermox to access photos, media, and files on your device. Please allow Thermox to access photos, media, and files on your device, because what that does is that Thermox would automatically link to your root directory on your phone. Without that link, it's hard to get content. It's harder to get content that you've downloaded. Maybe if you are browsing and you download content and it's on your home directory on your phone, to get it to Linux is hard because the two directories are not resident in the same place. So what this permission does is that it allows Thermox to create a shortcut from itself to your home directory, so that your pictures become available, your videos become available, the files that you download become available. Like when you're designing a website, for example, you want to download some pictures that you want to put on your website, you go to a browser, you check out the pictures, you go to Unsplash, for example, or you go to OnDraw, or you go to pexels.com, and then you download the picture that you like. It goes to your download directory on your home directory. This is not available to Thermox if you do not allow it here. So please note this, allow Thermox. If you skipped this and you didn't allow it, you need to do another command. You need to use another command called Thermox-install to be able to get this to come back up again. Without that command, Thermox will not create that short link for you that would connect your Thermox to your home directory. So the next thing it tells you is done. Restart Thermox. To exit any command line interface on Linux, you have to type exit, E-X-I-T. That will exit your terminal. So in this case too, we are using exit to exit our terminal. It says restart Thermox. So we want to shut it down with using exit and want to start it again. So we click on Thermox again, and voila, we have a new user interface with a new prompt. It's finer, it's easier on the eye, and it's actually more robust than Bash. So this is where we'll draw the curtains for the class for today. Tomorrow we'll continue. At least today we've seen how to go to Play Store, how to look for Thermox, how to download Thermox, how to install the packages that Thermox requires, how to change our shell, our default shell from Bash to ZSH, and the commands that we'll need to do that installation. Thank you very much. Hope to see you tomorrow where we'll do additional software installations, and have a great day. This is Samuel Anyaele signing off for the mobileprof.com. Thank you.